All right, so Julian Sharp,
Yes.
welcome to my second ever video, audio, blogcast or vlogcast or whatever you call these things. We have just attended, I have just attended now, app in a day.
Yep. Power apps.
Power apps in a day, and it has been intensive and very, very, very interesting. Because, I mean, even though I come from a background where I know dynamics, there are still so many things that I don't know. But I was just thinking, for everyone else in Norway here that might not know who you are, could you just give us some background information on who you are? Really?
Okay, my name's Julian Sharp. I'm a trainer and dynamics consultant. I spend a lot of time training dynamics across the whole of Europe. So this is probably my fourth or fifth time in Oslo in the last 6 months. I've been here quite a bit lately. Wow. I seem to spend a lot of time in Denmark, and in a week's time I'm off to Sweden again. Yeah. So yes, I do a lot of partner enablement type training, and Power Apps Today, the app of the day is one of the ones I do, but I also do training for public training courses, especially around certification. Right. My day job, when I'm not training, is I'm a solution architect, implementing dynamic solutions, primarily focusing around field service now.
Right, so that's
my background, how I got into my background was customer service. That's how actually I got into doing CRM in the first place. So I used to do systems for call centers. Really, that's how I got into doing CRM.
Have you been ever been in the USD thing of CRM then?
USD. Well, yeah. There's a thing called. USD wasn't USD. It was originally called a thing called the Customer Care Accelerator, where you actually got it as a Visual Studio solution. You had to build it. So yes, I did do a little bit with that at the time. I haven't implemented USD as it is now, but I didn't really implement CCA. I demoed it a few times to people, see if they were interested in it. Yeah. In fact, it was called something else before CCA, and I can't remember what that was called. But it came out of Microsoft Consulting Services, and it's quite a different beast now to what it was. Yeah. And I think it's only going to improve.
But how long have you been working with Dynamics? I mean, what was your first version of Dynamics, your first certification?
That's two separate questions. I mentioned I got into doing call centers, and out of that I got into doing Siebel, swear word. And it is a swear word. Siebel, CRM, I implemented that about the year 2000. So I converted the system I was running in Ingress into a Siebel implementation. Went successfully, big plus successful implementation. But then I did more Siebel work, and I got more fed up with it. It was a huge product, and it was very hard to implement. Like security, I think I spent about 6 or 7 weeks in a spreadsheet just building the security model for it, and that's what sort of disillusioned me with it. And then and I'd also spent a bit of time training in .NET. I sort of learned .NET as it came out. And then when Microsoft announced they were doing a CRM system, and they actually announced we're building a CRM system, we're releasing one around .NET, we thought, well, yeah, that's what I want to do. That was in 2003, 2004.
2003, 2004.
So that's CRM version 1.0. We then waited for it to be released at the time in the United Kingdom. It wasn't released, it was only released in the US. So my first version was 2004 CRM 1.2.
That's still pretty early, yeah.
Very early, yes. And my first certification was in 2004. I actually got accredited in CRM 1.0.
Wow.
So I actually have every single Dynamics 365 certification apart from one. The CRM 1.2 customization I didn't get. I got the installation, I got the application, I didn't get that. Still rankles with me.
The one that got away?
The one that got away, because we shared them out between us and the company, and I just did those two, and the others did the other one. But then, since then I've got CRM 3, CRM 4, CRM 2011, I've got every single certification since.
Yeah, but okay, so a big focus on customer engagement, or what we can call dynamics, or maybe even CRM. I mean,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever the name is now. But you also do so many other things. I mean, today you were talking about other courses you were holding.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been a big fan of cloud. I mean, we actually got into hosting Dynamics ourselves. I used to run a Dynamic. Instead of doing on-premise, we switched to hosting Dynamics in about CRM4 time, so about 10 years ago or so. We ran our own hosting in CRM4. And I learned a lot about how you run hosting. And so I haven't done an on-premise system for over 10 years. I've been in cloud for that long. And
yeah, kind of like you call it cloud even though it's a hosting.
Yeah, because we're not installing on-premise software.
Yeah.
And we were a trial beta tester for BPOS, or Business Productivity Online Suite, which was pre-loaded to Office 365 and Intune. And so I've always been very favourite of the cloud. And when Azure came out, we sort of adopted that as a way of how you handle integrations. So you're running cloud-based systems. You don't want to have on-premise software or on-premise components when you're running in the cloud. So Azure was very much an early adoption, whether it's running a web portal for it, or doing integrations or other things. So I probably spend about half my time doing Azure and half Dynamics, or have been for the last few years.
That's pretty good.
Because pretty much every solution I do has some element of Azure in it.
Yeah, but it's like you talk to me like, are you a developer? And we're at the discussion there, but
I can do a bit of coding. I wouldn't class myself as a developer.
are you comfortable within Visual Studio?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, and I've built software I've developed within Dynamics. If you develop plugins in Dynamics, you're not really coding C#. You're using within the SDK. You're not really. I don't know the difference between stack and a heap, or a different what difference between public void and static is. I don't care. I just write the code.
Right, but I mean, what you say is like, I would then kind of define you as one of those hybrids, because you could actually, in theory, do a complete implementation yourself.
Oh yeah.
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 And you wouldn't actually have to rely on most of it.
No, I can. If I need to write a bit of code, I'll write it.
Yeah.
I don't need a developer to do it for me. Especially, but if I was coming to more complex things like developing a web application front end, somebody built a custom one, that's where I would struggle. I'm not really an ASP.NET or an MVC type. But I understand things like
within the framework.
Yeah,
I mean, you're pretty
much
comfortable doing anything.
Yeah. And years ago I was a developer. Years ago I was a DBA. So
that's pretty interesting. All right, so I have a couple of standard questions that I also like to go through. So it's like, what was the first thing you liked about Dynamics, or what we could say the product?
Okay, I think, thinking back all those years ago, I could quickly build something. We could quickly make it work. It was just amazing after coming from something like Siebel, especially where it took so long to do things, how I could quickly just add a field, do a form, and publish it was there. I could do so much without writing code. And in the early days, we suddenly hit the buffers. It's very interesting. You do something, then you suddenly hit the limits of the product. It's like at some points they just stopped the development, and you had to work around it. And you end up that's great, because you learned a lot about the product. I understand how the product worked internally, because you had to. So that's the thing I didn't like about the product. But yeah, just the ability to quickly meet business needs without having to go write the code. I used to talk about this with other people. The Dynamics did the plumbing, it did the security, it did the email integration. If you come from other systems where they built nice applications that did the functional stuff, but they couldn't do all that integration with email. You saw so many really nice systems that couldn't do workflow or automation, or couldn't do integrations because they were closed boxes. Yeah, they had lots of nice functionality, but you want to do email, you want to do workflow, you want to put it on the web, you were stuck. And this is what Dynamics gave us. It gave us a platform. And I used to spend a lot of my time talking about Dynamics CRM as a platform for developing business applications. I think I said to you earlier, I've very rarely done a Dynamics 365 or CRM sales system. We used to treat for years and years, we built platform business applications using the platform and threw away all the opportunity and lead and everything else. And our systems, I've built grant management applications. I've built applications for loads and loads of things that you wouldn't recognize as being CRM. So where Microsoft is going now with the Power Platform is really interesting, because it's going back to that. And now what's nice is we can now implement the apps as apps. The sales app is an app, and it now has the functionality to meet sales needs. Where in the past, it was a nice sales application, didn't do very much. Now there's lots of nice features, especially around the AI enablement, and that's great. But I can just implement that as is, and we can focus on filling in the gaps with the Power Platform. That's really what excites me now. Yeah,
so probably an avid user of both, then the basic user at a point, the team member, and then maybe the P1, P2 kind of license.
I've been around a long time with Microsoft, and I'm very, very skeptical about. I've been through a number of scenarios where the team member license, I don't touch it at all, because Microsoft were they've had this in the past where what's a light user. They've had various iterations of this. What happens is if people abuse it, they end up clamping down. That's what they've done with the team member now, because people would like say, "Oh, I just need team member," and I had customers say to me, "I looked at it, I just need team member." I go, "No, you need a full license for what you need. Team member isn't enough. It's not meant for this."
Right.
But yes, I'm still, but I am a fan more. You should team members for a very specific use, I think. Where you do need occasional use for dynamics. But more and more it's P1, P2 in the Power Apps license. I see that as very much the way forward. The Power Platform writing Canvas apps, modular apps. Going away more from, if people need sales, that's great. Or customer service, that's great. We can sell them the licenses and implement the systems for that. But I'm not going to go to heavy customization we've done in the past. No. This is where the Power Platform comes in. And that's why I think I've spent the last 6 months, just evangelizing about the Power Platform.
But that would naturally lead us over to the next kind of question here. If you would take one thing from our Power Platform at this point in time, right now, what is your favorite feature?
Oh, favorite feature.
Favorite feature.
Well, I think I'm a big fan of Flow right now. I found the way of using Flow to automate and also replace a lot of the code that I've written. So in the past, I've written a lot of server-side code in plugins, like to go retrieve a set of records and do things with them. I can do the same in Flow in less time, much more maintainable, less need for developers. Yeah. And I think that's in the current project I'm working on. How much we've been able to do in Flow has really quite surprised me. And I've been very enthused about that. So I think Flow's more transformational than I think Canvas apps are. Even though I love Canvas apps, I think Flow's been more of an impact for me. I'll probably talk about that more.
So if you think like the citizen development kind of ideology here, it's like the Flow is more empowering us more than actually a Canvas app is.
I think it depends where you're coming from. I can see the way of just automation, the way of linking systems together, to a way of sharing data. I'm very much now saying rather than just have one big central database. Yeah. Rather just pull everything into your CRM database. I'm thinking more about having multiple CDS databases, using Flow to synchronize data between them, so you get different user communities getting just the data and functionality they need, rather than trying to build one big application. I remember I did some work with a big teaching hospital in London a few years ago, where they'd had Microsoft Consulting Services in before we went in, and they had a system where they had multiple access databases, multiple Excel spreadsheets. Because in a big teaching hospital, this is the biggest teaching hospital in the UK, they had so many departments, they had something like 600 separate databases, all of which are sharing data or had the similar data in. Right. And the question was, do we have one big CRM implementation or do we have multiple? Now, at the time, you could only really do one, but that has compromises because the data requirements for different departments are so different. So requirements for patient information from maternity is very different from radiology, from phonology. Which is
absolutely.
Now, I would actually like, let's have a central CDS, let's have separate CDS databases and start syncing the data that you need.
That's exactly perfect.
And again, I did some consulting for a very large car manufacturer in Sweden. There is only one. And we had the same thing, where they had two separate requirements, one for the fleet management, one for the dealers. Yeah. And we actually settled on two separate systems in the end because the data requirements, the security requirements are different. Now I'd probably do it differently with the capabilities that we have in the platform now.
Right.
I think for me, it completely changes how I think about applications, about how I design them. I can make things a lot simpler than having to try to shoehorn everything into one, then having compromise, then have to spend ages sorting the security out. I can just focus on giving people just what they need. It also enables you to do things at different paces. You don't have to. You're not doing a big bang. You can do this bit here, that bit there. You still have to do architecting, and that's the key thing. You still have to think about how it's going to be. And you also, one of my big things is always you've got to think of the futures. That I can build this. Say a customer comes to me with a requirement. I can build this for now. Yeah. But I always have to think where we're going. I spent 4 years in the UK organisation, and I had a very much a vision of where they needed to go, what they needed to do. And the trouble is, people always want to do the stuff now, and I think no, you need to build it for the future. You have to have an idea where you're going. It's going to change with digital transformation. People change how they want to work, and they change about where they want to go. But you still have to have an idea that's got a vision. And actually, the project I'm working on right now, they actually have. It's been very interesting. They're a very forward-thinking company. They're very forward-thinking where they need to be. Right now, they're in a real bad place. They need to modernise, but they have a very clear idea where they want to go. That's the sort of customer I like working with, because you can have proper...
They have their vision. Yeah,
they have a vision. They know what they need to do. It's very much about customer experience. Yeah. It's very much about providing information to the customer. And that's all the things. They're not focused just on like cost reduction or efficiency. Right. They have an idea, and that enables us to actually do things in the right order rather than do things just because they need doing.
That makes a lot of sense.
They understand where we're going, and it's been very interesting working with them in that respect. And that's the sort of customer I enjoy. The sort of project I enjoy working on. Yeah. I don't enjoy working on projects where, as was said to me, you're just a developer.
Here's the order. Please
do this. I like people to tell me what the requirements are.
Right.
Most often you get given solutions. Customers give you solutions.
Yeah.
My job, I say, you're paying me a lot of money to advise you. Yet here you are giving me a solution. You want that field there. I go, why? I try, when I train people, I go, you have to ask, I talk about asking the 7 whys. You have to ask why 7 times why somebody wants something to actually get to the actual real requirement. So, yeah, you want this field here. Why do you need that field? Or because we have to have this field, or it needs to be in this report. Why does it need to be in that report? Well, that person needs to see that bit of information.
Right.
And you have to keep drilling down and asking.
Eventually you get to
the real requirements, and then you can actually design a solution that meets that requirement.
Right.
But a lot of the time, people just give you what they need now or what they think they need. And the other issue I find is that people don't have. They're very constrained by their existing thinking. Maybe their existing systems, and what they often give you is their problems.
Exactly.
So you have to get beyond that. And so if you get a customer you can talk, have that proper conversation, has a vision, you can start actually really adding value for them.
Absolutely.
And I don't like saying go. I know I've refused to work with people which say we want this. Yeah. So I'm not interested in that. For me, it's about doing the interesting work.
I get
because I can choose. There's enough work. I can choose what work we want to do. I want to work with somebody who's going to make it interesting for me. I don't just want to do another sales system, another way I've just got to fight you all the time just to get something in.
But I think it's interesting what you're saying about the 7 questions, or I mean any number of questions really, because I think that's really that differentiates the junior consultants from the senior consultants. Yeah. Because in the juniors, I mean, they're afraid because they notice some resistance and they're afraid to dig even deeper. But if you just keep calm and just really get under their skin, I mean, eventually you get their pain.
Yeah, so get the true pain, get the real requirement. And actually this junior-senior thing is something I'm quite interested in. Because I've been around for Dynamics for a while, as have a few other people. And for a long time, there wasn't anybody new coming into Dynamics.
No.
And we've seen the last 2 or 3 years, new people such as yourself. How long have you been in Dynamics now?
Well, not that new. I'm since 2007. So I actually did have my first certification at 3.0. So
so you're probably but there probably wasn't many new people coming at that point.
No, but we have the same issue here in Norway. I mean, it's pretty much the same people just moving around.
No, so we had that in the UK, but now we're seeing more new people come in. Right. But there's a gap between the junior and the senior people. And bridging that gap is actually one of the biggest in the UK. We recognise this, and I've done some work with Microsoft. How do we bridge that gap between the junior and senior people? Yeah. How do we take somebody who's got 2 or 3 years experience and give them enough to become that senior role, without just having to do the traditional way is doing lots and lots of projects
until you finally figure out what's
but it's hard. I mean, it does take time, and there is a massive gap, and in the ERP world, we can go recruit people who've got real industry experience. So people are from finance background, people from warehouse and marketing, and train them we can skill them in the product.
True.
In the customer engagement world, we don't. On Power Platform, we haven't got that. Where do we get those people from?
We don't really have a product. We have a platform. So that's the problem here.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you train those people up? And that's one of the things I'm actually looking to. How do we address that? Can we put together a program where we could accelerate people from the junior to the senior?
But then I have a question for you. I mean, if we're thinking like 5 years from now, the fact that what we now call Power Apps, and we think, I know it's a long vision ahead, but it's like, so we have Power Apps and we have the CDS and everything, but we're not defining them as first-party applications, right? Is that the correct term? First-party applications. So do you think, the same way that Ben Volmer now really just taking field service and saying this is an app now more than ever, do you think we'll see the exact same things with the other ones doing big transformation, just to say that, because then we're actually in delivering more of a product than before?
Okay, I strongly agree with Ben.
Yeah.
Especially, I say sales is an app. And within our company, we say we implement sales.
Yeah.
We don't customize it. We implement it as
Yeah.
it is. Because if you start customizing it, especially sales,
Yeah.
you start adding things, then you're going to lose all the benefits of all the AI and everything else that Microsoft
Exactly.
is going to add to the product.
Exactly.
We want people to just use it as is, get the benefits. And I look back at some of the systems we heavily customized in the past, you cannot upgrade them or if you upgrade, there's no benefits to you. So you implement the apps as is. Customer service may be slightly different, but yeah, with the Omnichannel Engagement Hub, you use the product as it's designed by Microsoft. And we fill in the gaps in between with the Power Platform.
Right.
And that's so I think field service is very much is an app.
Yeah.
And you actually have to think of it more like an ERP app than a CRM app. If you try and implement it like a CRM app, you will fail. And I'm not going to talk about PSA because but that's very similar. If you try and customize these things, if you try and tackle field service like you try CRM, I'll write some workflow, I'll write some plugins behind it. Right. You'll break things. You'll hurt performance. You'll get things suddenly not working as they change the product. You have to work with the product, and understand where Microsoft is going. Yeah. So we try not to customize.
Yeah,
if you want to customize, my current project, we're doing a field service universal resource scheduling project, but we're doing a lot of the customization outside of that in a separate CDS instance. I think that's very much the way to go. We're writing Power Apps on top of CDS or model-driven apps, and we're trying to say this is field service. It is as it is. We may configure it a little bit. And with field service, there's a lot of configuration, but that is the method. And I think more and more we'll see that. And I actually think what's interesting now is where the ISV market is. There's now an IS. I've worked with. I spent a lot of years working with an ISV in the legal market in the UK. They built a whole legal system or legal case management system on top of Dynamics. Yeah. And it's fairly successful. I've implemented it. It's a huge product. I mean, it's a significant system on top. But interestingly, it's very much tied into that. It's of its era. It was built about 5-6 years ago. If you were building it now, it'd be very different. I'd build it on top of the Power Platform, but I'd leverage in the different bits. But now there's new ISV competency coming out. Microsoft are refocusing on the ISVs. They see there's that a big drive. And I think we'll see lots of other people building ISV solutions on top of the Power Platform. And I think that's a very interesting market, very interesting future.
Absolutely. But I was just saying, we see a lot of our competitors, they have a better app. Story. But then again, most of our competitors are more of a product than we are because we are such a platform. So I was thinking it would be interesting to see if we turn some of our first-party applications to be more products-ish, then it might be even easier for ISVs to emerge and get solutions.
I used to say that Dynamics CRM for Sales wasn't a very good sales system.
No, it isn't.
Well, that's the big secret, isn't it? It's not a good CRM system. If you look at where Microsoft to go with, I'm not trying to compete on features. No. It's all because actually salespeople they hate CRM systems. Yeah. But what they want to do is to make life easier. So it's about giving them insights into the data, giving them AI to tell them what to do next. It's allowed to have everything all in one place, and that's where Microsoft go. I actually think that's the right approach for sales.
Absolutely.
I don't think a system where you got lots of bells and whistles, where you're having to just record what you're doing, is actually what people want. Salespeople just want to get on and do their job. You want to make it easy for that. And if you actually look at how they're positioning the different things, that's where we go. That's why you shouldn't customize sales, because if you start customizing it, you're going to lose all that capability that Microsoft is going to go. And he said 5 years from now, it's going to look very different. Where were we 5 years ago? 5 years ago, we were just CRM 2013 with the horrible user interface.
We got a ribbon, the wonderful ribbon.
Scroll, constantly scroll.
Keep scrolling.
Keep scrolling.
Click out. Oh, you got to scroll again.
Even in where we were 2 years ago, and the pace of change is only going to increase. And I think that's one lesson of the cloud, is if you're not used to change, you're in the wrong business. Right. If you complain about the fact this is changing, you're in the wrong job. It's just a feature of the fact of we're in the cloud and the cloud acceleration and the cloud change and the fact that things have changed. It's a feature, not a bug.
That's true. But we were on the question about customizing and let's say sales. So I have another question that I ask everyone there. what I call it, the to lead or not to lead. Basically, would you like leads? Do you use leads,
Yes,
or do you just use opportunities?
Okay, leads. It depends on the customer. One of our first ever customer, Dynamics, go back 2014. They work in the pharmaceutical industry, and they effectively work for every large pharmaceutical company in the world. So it's interesting. CRM 1.2 system. We put multi-currency in it. Okay. We built a system that calculated the cost of shipping from China to Europe, US. We did multi-currency in dollars, euros, pounds. They still use that system. That system's still live.
as 1.2?
Yeah, we don't support it. But then sort of they will eventually replace it. We replaced this previous system. It was 15 years old. They're sort of coming to buy something once, then runs it to the end. But with that, what was I saying? I've lost my track of thought.
Their system about because we were talking about using leads or not using.
Oh yeah,
leads,
so they knew every company, so they didn't use leads because they had the customers. On the other side now, I say create leads. Even if somebody goes to the website, logs a form or registers, I say create a lead, but we always create a contact now as well. So when you create a lead, we create a contact. The reason is Dynamics marketing, because marketing works off contacts. I always say create a lead and create a contact.
And then associate the contact to the lead.
Yeah. And actually create an account as well.
That should be a tip to Click Dimensions, having that option.
They do. They can create a lead.
Yeah, they do a lead.
They do lead or contact.
Or.
Yeah.
Not and.
Not and.
No.
Yeah. And the reason I did this, I actually did the original. I was one of the few people. I've only met 2 or 3 other people who actually liked Microsoft Dynamics Marketing. I implemented it. It was the
MDM.
MDM, yeah.
Wow, yeah.
And that used the idea of contact and lead, and I got my head around that and I understood it. So when Microsoft everybody started talking about lead versus contact, I said that's not an issue. You have your lead. And I even say now, if somebody comes in who's an existing customer, you still create a lead because you want to track what happened. It gives you some information whether they. So if it's an existing customer, if they come in on your web and come back again, we create a lead because we want to track how we convert it. And I often do quite a lot of work around lead to contact, trying to match them. Because people come in with different details. And I work with the university and just everything comes as a lead, we try and match it to a contact and then see what happens. The trouble is people can come in different, you may not know them. They may come with a different email address, something's changed, they may work for a different company, but you still need to do that matching. And it actually, I think, sorts a lot of problems out. But if I had to do a choice, I would say don't lead, just have contact.
Right.
Lead and contact, or just contact. That's
the thing. But then just use opportunity just as opportunities, and then
yeah.
Just keep that.
Well, one of the problems you have with leads is that they don't form part of your sales forecasting. So if you have leads, you qualify leads in or out very quickly. I would say a lead has a very short lifetime. That's how it was designed.
Yeah.
You don't keep leads for a long time.
No.
You qualify them in or out. I would say if you're talking to more than one person at a company, you've qualified them. If you're going to visit them, you've qualified them. If you're giving them pricing, you've qualified them.
It's true. Yeah.
And that's always been my way I've described leads to people. And I actually did some training for a company who were doing a proof of concept with Dynamics. They're a current Salesforce user. Mm-hmm. Very large, 5,000 to 6,000 users, European wide. They were doing proof of concepts. They were looking at alternatives. Yeah. And I actually did a whole day. We talked about leads and contacts pretty much half the day. Yeah. This whole issue, describing what they're for and how they work. And they're the sort of company. And these are really important things to understand. You need to understand what the customer wants to do or what they need. The salespeople need to have.
Or even their technical capabilities of navigating.
Yeah,
between leads and entities. Yeah.
Well, this is why business process flows come in. If you do it right, they don't notice. They don't. Especially if I create a lead and create a contact, they just qualify them. It just moves them. The data's already there linked.
That's true.
I think that's the one big advantage using business process flow with leads and contacts.
That's
together.
Definitely a tip I'm going to take home and try. Yeah.
So for me, but I say I don't do many sales, but.
You do yourself, yeah.
I do understand, and it is a big concept. I mean, Microsoft didn't invent leads. When they designed CRM, they went to look at what everybody else did. They used leads and contact. Every CRM system has them. They didn't.
The reason I ask is always because some people really like leads, some people hate leads, and just because they don't like the navigation from A to B, because they just let's just do everything from opportunity. Because
I can understand that, but if you use business process flows and you on creation of lead, you try and match it to a contact. If not, you create a contact and account, and then the business process is just a transition.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And actually a user shouldn't notice the difference. That's
that would be the best ideal situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had one vote to use on ideas.microsoft.com or whatever the site is called right now, I can't really remember. I think it's ideas.
Experience.
Experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have one vote for your, like, the top feature request you would want for something within Dynamics. Let's keep it to customer engagement though.
Okay, let's talk about a feature that we used to have in CRM3, which was the ability to import a list of people into leads or contacts, and as part of the import, create a marketing list. We used to have that in CRM3.
Interesting, yeah.
Because if you want to import a list of people and create a marketing list for it, how do you do that? You have to create the list, then do an advanced find, and then
based on the created on date.
Yeah, which is useless.
Yeah.
We used to have this feature. If you ever go like CRM3, I haven't got an example, but system now, I wish I had. But you would go in, there was an option. It said, as part of this, create a list of this name as part of this.
Right.
And that was a really nice feature, and the sort of thing people want.
But you would think for the new marketing now you would have the similar thing, because when you're importing like an old subscription list to the new subscription list or something like that.
But they have to exist as contacts first.
Yeah, but
So if I'm importing an external list,
exactly, you would do double import anyway then,
yeah. So that feature is like I was only talking about it a couple of weeks ago. This is why it's in my mind. It's like, what feature do we used to have that I really like that? And it's like, in the past I've done things where I've created like a hidden field. So on import, I set that and import it. Then I have a workflow that goes, and then the other feature is to be able to add a contact to a marketing list in workflow. You can do it in Flow now. Actually, no, can you do it in Flow? I don't think you can.
I'm not really sure.
No, you can't. I've had to write code. Yeah. The only way of adding or using one of the workflow extensions, you can't do, because it's a many-to-many relationship, you can't add a contact to a marketing list in a workflow. It's one of the, I have a standard set of workflow custom activities, and that's one of them.
Exactly.
Add to a marketing list, remove from marketing, remove from all marketing lists.
Yep.
And it's like, why can't you do? Why Microsoft can't you just do this? Look at all the products that are out there.
Yeah,
everybody does this. Microsoft should be focusing, I think, on what people are commonly doing.
Yeah, but it will be interesting to see how long this marketing list will survive. I mean, based on legacy, a long time, but at some point you would think that we're going to hear something about a deprecated feature.
Marketing lists can be used in Dynamics Marketing, because we can use them.
Yes, you can get a segment from marketing lists.
So I still think they're going to be, and they're still sometimes nicer to use for simple things.
Yeah,
I just want to create a little list of people to send something out to, and not everybody's going to have Dynamics Marketing.
No, but I was just thinking, like, for the other ones, I mean, they should almost consider making their own. I mean, because I'm concerned about the marketing list actually being a feature that we can rely on.
I think you look at everything that's been deprecated. They're still around. You see things that, like, I don't know if you know, Fetch XML was decremented.
What is it?
Fetch XML, which we use for advanced find and views, was decremented officially. If you go back to the notes, it was decremented in CRM4 time. It's still here. It got resurrected because they needed a way of doing it. What else has been? Goals were decremented. They're no longer decremented.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Outlook client has had a reprieve. Contracts are still in the system.
Yeah, because they were doing the old Outlook client out. Yeah, but I think there's so many enterprise environments that still have it active.
Yeah.
I mean,
they couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah, plus there's a lot of things that the app for Outlook doesn't do the same way, and not necessarily better or worse. It's just not the same way.
I think some people kick back on that.
Yeah.
What else has been? Our contracts are still there, even though they were decremented years ago. Standard SLAs, I think they're still there.
Yeah, for the time being.
So things will be there because people. It's very hard for a product to remove stuff because it might break things.
Yeah, but eventually we'll see. Via this telemetry, they will see what we use and don't use, and
start. Yeah, but doesn't mean they always make the right decision.
That can be discussed. All right. So, in regards to how many hours do you use, if we say, just said, per week, just to try to stay current on everything that's happening now?
Oh, it's a lot. It's seriously a lot. I mean, because I do a lot of training, I'm asked to I'm asked to do training on stuff that I don't necessarily know, or I've been asked because so at the moment I've got certification in Dynamics plus Office 365 plus Power Data Platform.
Yeah.
So Power BI, I've got MCSA in that, and Azure.
Wow.
And I train in Azure as well.
Yeah.
So at the moment I'm studying for the Azure Solution Architect, which is the hardest exam Microsoft have. It's the most broad exam, the most challenging, and I've really run out of time. I'm taking it on Saturday. And I've actually had a revision plan. I'm about 2 weeks behind on my revision plan, and I've got 5 days left.
Yeah.
So I spend an awful lot of time keeping up on stuff, reading news, we've got the Wave 2 releases. I'd probably spend 15 hours a week, I would say, easily.
Yeah.
Looking at new stuff, trying to figure out what's new. And as well as that, I deal with Microsoft on the learning side, so that's another thing, and also as a partner.
Yeah.
I do a partner liaison. Just keeping with Microsoft as a partner is pretty much a full-time job. There is so many emails coming out, so many announcements. I'm on various Yammer groups.
Because what kind of medias are you most? I mean, because I feel like you're definitely a profile out there, but I see like these profiles are sort of like either they're very active on Twitter, or they do social networks like maybe Facebook, maybe they actively on the community sites. And they do lots of blogging, but you can't cover it all.
No.
So
I'm not on Facebook.
No.
So that makes that easier. I'm reasonably active on Twitter, and I blog. I've got my blog. But that automatically retweets that. My blog's syndicated onto the Microsoft Community blog site, which is, if you are blogging actively, you should do, because it means you get more exposure.
Right.
What else? So Twitter, I tweet. I'm not really. I dip in and out of the community site, the Dynamics community. It's not that. I'm not really part of the CRM user group forums. I am a chapter lead for the CRM user group in the UK.
You are, yeah.
We've got about 5 or 6 chapters now.
Wow.
And then we've got a meeting on Thursday. But I don't really have time to go on that. What else do I do? Twitter. It's just, and there are some other forums, but I'm not really active. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. And that we have our own forum, and I'm on that. There's those things as well. I'm speaking in Lithuania in October at the Microsoft Certified Trader Summit. We have our own summit every year.
And you'll be back to Oslo.
Yes, I'm back in Oslo on the 24th of August for Power Platform Saturday.
That'll be fun.
I was speaking on Power Apps and IoT, because I think one of my interests, really, I'll talk about this now, because I have an interest in Azure and Dynamics. That's how I sort of focus on field service, because field service touches the connected field service touches IoT. I've sort of specialised in Azure on the IoT area, and that's really where my interest now lies in terms of things. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Connected IoT,
service,
but also I've got into the Azure side, so all the stream analytics, all the way of doing machine learning on your data to help detect anomalies and help understand where we actually want to do alerts. And I was at Inspire last year, the Microsoft Partner Conference, and my favourite bit was when Satya Nadella said, at the end of every IoT solution is a field service solution. I went, yes, because IoT is going to be huge. In the next, so you were talking about 5 years' time. Field service isn't big right now. And I think field service has got a massive growth potential. That's where, at the moment, people aren't really doing IoT. They're exploring it. They're trialing it.
Well, the devices don't really have IoT either. I mean,
there's a real challenge there's a lot of people looking at it and trialing things out, but there are very few production IoT systems. And part of the problem is there's no standards.
Right.
And I've been working with a very large IoT distributor and I did some work, and I've done some training courses for them in Finland and Sweden. They're a worldwide $27 billion company. And if this does roll up, we'll roll this out worldwide, because they're very interested. They want to get people into IoT, and they see field services. So they're from the hardware side. And they see the software side as being very important to them. But it's very much early days yet. It's wild, wild west, really, in terms of standards and connectivity. And Microsoft are investing $5 billion in IoT in the next few years. So I think we're into, so you say 5 years' time, I think it's going to be very different. I think field service IoT is going to be massive. We're going to see many more connected devices, and the demand for field service and connected field service is only going to grow. And the great thing about field service, if you're from the Dynamics, if you're in the Dynamics market, where's the growth area? Everybody's got sales here. You're into replacements. Field service, there is no one big vendor.
True.
Nobody's got more than 5% market share. A lot of the solutions out there are old. And if they are there, they don't do IoT. It's just been tacked on. So it's a big potential market. The trouble is it's complex. You have to master a number of different things. And hopefully Microsoft in 3, 4, 5 years' time, they'll have made it a lot simpler. They're going to make connecting. Hope. Well, they are. We've seen things like IoT Central to manage things. They've just announced something, I think the last couple of weeks, which is about making devices be able to connect into Azure IoT much simpler.
Right.
So they're creating models and software solutions to make it easier for the device manufacturers to connect in. Once things are connected into Azure IoT, it's going to make everything else easier.
Right. But it's pretty much like anything else. As long as it gains enough momentum, you will always see that the third party or the hardware vendors will then probably design things that will also look into Azure.
Yeah, the things with IoT at the moment, it costs a lot to put sensors in. And when you're talking about rating devices, even if it's like 20 cents per device,
that's a lot.
When it's a lot of devices, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And these manufacturers are very much concerned about price, but they are building in sensors now all the time, and the pace of change. Working with this company in Finland, they're seeing so much demand. They're saying to me, the manufacturers are kicking out new stuff. There's new ideas, new devices, new sensors all the time, and I think it's incredibly exciting. This is where I think the growth is, the interest is, and so that's what I'm talking about on the 24th of August. I would say Power Apps with the IoT. This just to get you started.
Yeah. So we have to check you out there then.
If
you want to learn more, you got to come by.
Hopefully show what we can do and just show how we can use Power Apps to consumer. You don't necessarily need full field service.
No, true.
Or Power BI. It's not. There's more than just field service. But if you want to actually schedule the management, and the growth is to get it all in and automate the alerts and have proper scheduling of resources to go out and fix things before they break, then you need full field service. But you don't always need that.
No, true. So, final question.
All right.
First of all, thank you so much for taking the time. I mean, this is you've been presenting all day. You've been talking all day.
My throat's been dry out all day.
It'd be nice to probably get home.
Well, I'm not going to get home to about 3 a.m. this morning.
I have a question. I'm wondering, how long will your beard get before it's too long?
It's too long right now. It needs a trim. I actually saw you tweet about it. So I already have Mark Christie commented on the length of was it Mark or was it Ian? I don't know. The beard needs a trim.
There's no ideal length for this?
No, this is the trouble is it gets trapped.
Snags?
So I know, and it also gets a bit bushy out here, so it needs a bit of topiary in the UK. So trimming hedges. So
I actually have one thing. I just gotta go get. As anyone.
What's that?
It's just a small token appreciation
thank you.
for anyone who participates in the survey. Norwegian chocolate. Yeah. And we mean, for us, this is the finest chocolate you can get.
Right, okay. Thank you.
Anyway, thank you so much for being a part of this, Julian.
Thank you, okay.